We're here with the one and only Dobby Styles, the author, screenwriter, actor, marathon runner, and urban fashion fiend, affectionately known as Good Dude. Here to talk about his new book, Becoming Good Dude, a South Jamaica Queens survival story. Let's get into it.
Big time, man. It's a pleasure and honor to see you, bro. Long time coming. Thank you for having me, first and foremost, but most importantly, thank you for actually saluting and supporting the book as you do often, man. We go way back, Ask OGs, and things of that nature, which are still moving on YouTube. Tremendous numbers, or trying to get to tremendous numbers, let me say that, but it's a pleasure, my brother. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, always, So first, what we definitely need to get into is the book itself. Becoming Good Dude, a South Jamaica Queen survival story. I said South Side because I understand, you know what it is from the street perspective.
Action.
But talk to the people a little bit about the reason for writing a book and what inspired you to tell this story.
Excellent question, man. So obviously born and raised in South Jamaica, Queens. I decided to get into a memoir or to share my story, so to speak, because I was in a situation where I had got salutations from two people that I consider friends, and I don't use that term loosely. So my man Dante and my man Croft, they asked me what was the situation with everything I had going on, and it kind of was it was like post-pandemic. So I was going through a bunch of personal stuff en route, about to take an actual job and things of that nature, having lost what my Marriott family was and everything that was going on there. And it just came to me, working with Big Time and working with you, so to speak. We had a whole idea for a documentary, which we executed. I had an idea for a book and a short film. So we got the documentary done and we didn't get the book done. And my mindset was, if I go back to my actual job situation and they like, yo, Good Dude, what did you do during the pandemic? I literally wanted to be able to say proudly, I shot a documentary, I wrote a book, I shot a short film. I shot a short film. So that was literally the gist of everything that was going on after we actually executed the documentary. And I just had the idea for the Becoming Good Dude, the South Jamaica Queen survival story. And I just executed based on that. Literally piggybacking off of what we executed off of the actual documentary. True story.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the premiere of that. I gotta hit the streets.
Factory.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So what has the process been like as far as, the writing, the putting the book together? Because to my understanding, you decided to go independent with this.
Right, man. It is a straight me situation. It is an actual self-published actual book. The process was literally me mapping everything out. And like I said, I piggybacked off of the work that we actually done. I had those actual titles, and then what I did was ultimately break those down in Microsoft Words. I went and got the app. I started writing the book on my actual phone, and then I just transferred everything to an actual computer. And then I had all of these ideas and all of these titles, and obviously the creative in me was literally just touching on the titles. So, one of the titles is Abandoned. I was an abandoned child growing up in South Jamaica, Queens. My mom's left when I was 10 years old, and she literally left me in South Jamaica, Queens. So I touch on that title. There's a title called Undomiciled, whereas I come home from incarceration and literally find myself in a situation going to a place that's worse than incarceration because there's no individuals there to support me, so to speak. There's a chapter in there called Raggers Island where I break down the intricacies in what incarceration is and how individuals intermingle and coexist with one another. So there's various topics in there that I actually executed, but more importantly, I wanted to share and give some game to. I'm a huge Gary V. Wallow enthusiast, man. The game and the gems they give. So I wanted to literally put that in the book form from a South Jamaica Queens perspective, which doesn't happen often. Most people, they do these books, or they do these crime stories, and it's from a fictional perspective. And I respect it, but I can't do that. It has to be reality based. Otherwise, it's trash. From coming from me.
I totally respect that and understand that. I feel the same way as you. So as far as actually putting the book together and editing it and the packaging and the cover, which is dope. Like you got that young good dude energy right there.
Actual fact.
You know what I mean? You can see in your eyes that it's a survival story even at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So talk a little bit about that.
The cover was actually literally the year my mom's left me, man. Literally. I think I was 8, 9. I think I was probably 8 or 9 in that actual picture. The late great matriarch Ada Bell Stevens, she actually got that shirt out of a new hand-me-down pile, but it was crispy new. That was actually me going to school for picture day, and it captured the hunger and the innocence of a child. The wonderful April Walker, who I have so much respect for, the designer and great Walker Wear brand CEO, I was considering changing the actual cover, and she told me no. It captures the innocence of a child, but more importantly, it shows who you are literally in that moment. And coming from April Walker, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, I decided to run with that cover, but it literally captures when a young man had got abandoned, when I was abandoned, so to speak, excuse me, and the late great Ada Bell Stevens raising me and guiding me, and that was actually for picture day, but it's literally the year that my mom's left me and went to Jersey City and never returned as a parent. So that's literally the innocence of a child who's just in survival mode. The whole significance behind the book is a young man surviving, growing up in South Jamaica, Queens. During the crack era. During the 80s and 90s when it was really real. What they call outside now is not outside. That's literally like, you skating through. But outside, it was hustlers, the prostitutes, the get-to-its, the have-nots, but the wavy creatures. All of these individuals were scattered out and about, but more importantly, it was truly survival of the fittest during that time.
That's a fact. I mean, 80s, 90s, New York City,
it.
crack era was
Exactly.
insane. All around the country, but it was something about that New York City
True story.
crack era, because not only was it so significant here from, just being such a large populated city with our people, but then the hustlers from our city would go to all of these surrounding cities all around the country and basically set up shop and control drug distribution in cities all around America.
Actual fact.
You know what I mean? And then eventually the people from their own cities did it, but it was the New Yorkers that was going to these places and really setting up shop and really controlling that industry. And it was a rough time for sure. So the fact that you actually were able to capture this and capture these moments in book form and be able to tell your story and here to tell your story is, I think it's a powerful thing. You know what I mean? So I salute you for that, for sure.
Man, gratitude.
Yeah. So how just to give us a little peek inside of the book, how did you overcome the abandonment part?
The abandonment part, like I said, man, again, the survival story is the key element in the whole book. A young man surviving during that time. I had 9, 8, I had various uncles, man, who were really my older cousins. These was my father's older cousins. As I touched on, the late great Ada Bell Stevens raised me. Here's a lady who had 11 kids of her own. But she always opened her house to any and everybody who might have needed assistance or some help. During that time, there was various individuals, mothers, daughters, cousins, female cousins that is, that was getting caught up in addiction. So their kids was left by the wayside, and Ada Bell Stevens was always a woman who would embrace you and take you in and guide you. No matter how many people was in our house, she would always open her door to more individuals who might have needed help. And I always respected that about her, but the survival part of everything I was going through big time is literally me growing up hustling, trying to get to it. I turned out in '87. I got my first buck 20 pack from the guard, True Guard, on 149. Not even from guys in my neighborhood who groomed me. There's in chapter 4 I literally get to how, throughout the whole course of my childhood, there was individuals who used to give me money and talk to me like I was their actual peers. But what they was ultimately doing is grooming me for the hustle. So that was, one of the ways that I survived. Here I was a single kid, pretty much by myself with 13 other cousins, but I always did my own thing. I was addicted to fresh when I was literally in public school. And I knew the only way I'm gonna get to it is either I'm gonna hustle or I'm gonna stay by the wayside. So I decided to hustle, and I had every kind of finesse move you can think of. It's actually in the book. If you like my aunt, I was delivering messages for a few dollars. I had, every time you see me, it was my birthday. I washed windows. I robbed the fellas who was on the side of the highway selling roses as soon as they dropped their buckets. I had every kind of hustle you could think of, but honestly, man, I always was in survival mode. And the late great Ada Bell Stevens, she pretty much let me do me because she understood that boy just trying to get to it. I always think of the South Jamaica Queens hustle and the way Meech and them hustle, right? And these were young individuals who had a heavy grit, mindset, right? And here I am in South Jamaica Queens, nickel dime hustling, but with the same work energy and the same mindset. I just didn't have the gumption, but I always was in survival mode. I always was just trying to take care of me because I didn't have nothing or nobody. The lady literally had to tell me, go ahead and go get it. I had to turn a blind eye to it. Turn a blind eye to everything I had going on in spite of her having hustling sons.
Powerful, powerful. So, being that it is a South Jamaica Queen survival story, we have reference of another South Jamaica Queen survival story that 50 Cent just put out on TV. How much do you just see your lifestyle and your survival techniques in that TV show that's currently popular?
The difference between Raising Canaan and my actual story is the Stark family, and also I believe they're Thomases. They are a collective of a hustling family. So obviously Raquel is the head of that family. Then it's her two brothers. Then Canaan is their actual son. Canaan wasn't abandoned. He was groomed because he's literally the son of Raquel. He's the head to the actual conglomerate. They're hustling conglomerate. So obviously it's his two uncles, one of his uncles that he actually looks up to. I had a ton of uncles, but my uncle Black Love was somebody who was involved on 150th Street, who was actually in the company of all of the hustlers. But my whole story is literally based on me surviving on Brisbane Street, and the way I had to survive was literally not following the footsteps of them, but to figure out my own hustles, to figure out my own finesse moves, to figure out my own energy, but always realizing all I had was me. If Pat had sense enough to actually give Ada legal guardianship, we're having a totally different conversation in terms of book, because now I have funds, whereas I can do the right thing. To be honest with you, bro, I always just wanted to be a good kid. I looked up to a lawyer named Carl Tereski, who used to get my family law settlements when we used to get into accidents or some unplugged stuff would happen. And I looked up to Mr. Tereski big time. He was sharp, he was intelligent, and he was clean as a motherfucker. And I was inspired by that. Even back then as a kid, I knew, man, I loved that suit. And I knew it wasn't no, off the rack suit. I knew that was a fitted custom motherfucker. And I looked at that. You understand what I'm saying? I know for sure his energy and everything he was about some money. So growing up on Brisbane and looking up to Mr. Carl Tereski, I wanted to be who he was. But I couldn't be who he was because I didn't have any funding. So I had to go and get it. My uncles was all getting to it, man. My Uncle Black Love, my Uncle Cargo, but my Uncle Black Love was literally the glow and shine of our actual house. My Uncle Cargo and him were literally in competition with one another, but they was brothers and they loved each other, but they always had a competitive side. And I watched, learned, and watched how they moved and try to duplicate all of their movements. But it always was literally me in survival mode, because the late great Ada Bell Stevens couldn't get funding for me. So, growing up in Southside, man, it's either you a bum or you get into it. It's no middle ground. We're literally raised like that. So to piggyback off of what you said, or to touch more on what you said, the Thomas family / the Starks, Canaan is a Stark, they are a family who was led by Raquel. I was in a family who was led by me, but my Uncle Black Love was literally the one who received all the attention. And he was the fella that I looked up to and respected, more so than my own father. But I had my own energy, I had my own ideology. So it's not far-fetched. It's great that you asked that question. It's not far-fetched at all, because we're bred like that in Southside. You know what I mean? You look up to your uncle hustle, you hustle. And that's literally the footsteps that I followed, but I always had my own mind and my own intelligence. So, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Well, I look forward to reading it. Let the people know too where they could pick that up, man, and where they could get an inside look at Becoming Good Dude, a Southside Jamaica Queen survival story of Dobby Styles.
You can holler at me ASAP on Dobby Styles account on the gram. You can holler at me at Becoming Good Dude account on the gram. You can direct message me. I am the direct connect. If you ask for a link, I am the link. I ship it to you, man. It's $20 cash if you need to pick it up. It's $25 if I need to ship it to you. But I am the direct link, man. One of the greatest things, as I was telling you earlier, good brother, big time, is I cut out the middleman. The easiest thing in the world to do is to go to Amazon or go to BookBaby and have these people distribute your book and give you a percentage off of your intellectual property. I couldn't have that. The South Side of me definitely couldn't have that at all, man. So every nickel, all the proceeds from this book literally go to me so that I can go on and do other things. I'm currently in a situation where I'm going to shoot Curve City with Big Time, possibly, and I have other projects that I want to do. That is the main objective. And again, all the proceeds from this book literally go to that, man. It is a survival story, and it is literally me trying to survive to get to the next level, man. Nobody owes me their smart-earned money, but I know if you support me, you're very smart, and I appreciate that on so many levels, man. So that is literally my rhetoric, but more importantly, it's sincere verbiage on so many different levels, man, because I mean that. Again, I cut out the middleman, and I'm proud of that more than anything. To be self-published is not only an accomplishment, but it is something that every entrepreneur person, every person who has any type of entrepreneurial spirit, you should definitely go in that direction, man. Because to self-publish is a beautiful thing, and to be able to not have anybody cut you a check from your property, intellectual property, every 30 days is probably one of the best things that you can do on any level. So again, man, at Becoming Good Dude on the gram and at Dobby Styles on the gram, man. Like 20 Cash, I accept Zelle, I accept Cash App. Any form of payment is great, man, but Zelle and Cash App is the most effective and efficient way to actually get a book and purchase a book. To purchase a book from me and for me to ship it out to you immediately, man. And I do everything by myself, every single thing. So it's always on point, precise, and more importantly, man, it is something that you will definitely get and love. The book is an amazing read. It's entertaining, it's intriguing, it's inspiring. I can't say that enough. So, man, again, Cash App or Zelle, 25 cash, I will execute the book to you immediately. I appreciate your support on all levels. And again, you don't owe me your smart-earned money. You don't have to give me your smart-earned money. But if you support me, I know you smart. True goddamn story, man. Becoming Good Dude, the South Jamaica Queen survival story, baby. You're gonna love it.